Please, don't skip this, the narrator's voice echoes as the scene opens. Because what happened on that freezing Christmas night might just restore your faith in humanity. It's the kind of hook that makes viewers pause, lean closer, and feel something deep in their chest. And if anyone listening feels even a little moved by what follows, they'll want to like the video, maybe even subscribe for more stories that touch the heart. Snowflakes drift slowly across the dark highway, lit only by the dim glow of failing streetlights. A lone man drives down the empty road, a man whose face carries the shadows of old battles and memories too heavy for most to understand. His name is Logan Hale, a retired Navy SEAL who once walked through fire for his brothers, and now spends Christmas driving aimlessly, looking for anything that reminds him he still belongs to this world. The heater in his truck hums softly, but the cold inside him never really leaves. Christmas used to mean something: laughter, family, warmth. But after losing his squad leader, his best friend, in an operation that still replayed in his nightmares, Logan avoids holidays. He avoids celebrations, lights, noise, everything. Tonight was supposed to be just another quiet drive. Until he saw them. A woman standing near an old minivan that was half buried in snow, her arms wrapped protectively around two shivering kids. The headlights swept across their faces, fear, exhaustion, and something worse, hopelessness. Logan hit the brakes so hard the truck skidded sideways. His heart punched against his ribs. The woman looked at him with trembling eyes. She didn't wave, didn't shout, didn't even approach. She just stood there, clutching her children like the world had finally broken apart. He opened the door, stepped out into the biting cold, and walked toward her with slow, careful steps. "Ma'am," he called. "You okay?" The woman swallowed hard, her voice cracking from cold and tears. "Our car died, and I don't have anyone to call." Logan noticed the way the kids held onto her coat, their small hands red from the cold. The boy looked about 8, the girl maybe 5. Both trembled. He exhaled sharply. "You're freezing out here," he said. "Come with me." The kids turned, eyes wide. The mother hesitated like she wasn't used to kindness anymore. "My name's Logan," he added gently. "I was a Navy SEAL. I promise you, you're safe with me." Something in his eyes convinced her. Not strength, not the tough exterior, but the quiet sincerity of a man who had seen many Christmases darker than this one. She nodded slowly. "I'm Maria," she whispered. "And these are my kids, Liam and Rosie." Logan helped them into his truck. When the warmth hit their faces, the little girl almost cried from relief. Logan glanced at Maria. Her lips were blue, her fingers trembling. She wasn't just cold, she was breaking inside. "Where were you headed?" he asked. Maria hesitated before answering. "Anywhere but where we came from." He didn't pry, but he could tell she wasn't being dramatic. She was running from something real. As the truck rolled back onto the snowy road, the silence grew thick. The kids slowly unfroze enough to talk. "Mister," Rosie whispered, "are you a superhero?" Logan smiled for the first time in months. "No, sweetheart, just a guy with a warm truck." Maria's eyes softened. She watched the exchange like she hadn't seen her children smile in a long, long time. Minutes passed before she spoke again. "Tonight was our first Christmas without my husband," she said quietly. "He was a firefighter. Died saving a family last year. And everything's been really hard since." Logan's chest tightened. He knew loss. He knew the kind that hollowed you out and left you wandering roads. "At night, we tried to keep going," she continued, twisting her hands in her lap, "but I lost my job. Lost our home. And tonight, the shelter was full." Her voice broke. "I didn't know where else to go." Logan pulled the truck over gently, turning toward her. "You're not alone tonight," he said firmly. "Not anymore." Maria's eyes filled, and she looked away to hide the tears. The kids had fallen asleep against each other, small breaths fogging up the window. Logan looked at their tired faces and made his decision before he even realized he was making one. "There's a motel I know," he said. "Owned by a buddy of mine. We'll get you a warm room. Hot food. Everything you need." Maria shook her head instantly. I can't let you do that. We can't pay. "You don't owe me anything," Logan said softly. "Let me help, please." She stared at him, stunned by the sincerity. In a world where people often walked past suffering without a second glance, kindness this pure felt unreal. The motel was small, but warm. Logan carried Rosie in his arms, her little head resting sleepily on his shoulder. Liam walked close to his mother, his hand in hers. Maria watched as Logan gently laid Rosie on the bed, removing her shoes and tucking her under the blankets like she was his own child. "Logan," she whispered, "why are you doing all this?" He paused, looked at her with eyes that carried years of scars. "Because someone saved me once," he said. "And I never got to repay them. So now, I help where I can." Maria stepped closer. "You saved us tonight." The words hit him in a place he didn't know was still tender. He cooked them dinner in his room's small kitchenette, nothing fancy but warm enough to thaw their souls. They ate together, the kids finally laughing, Maria finally breathing. Hours passed. Stories were shared. Pain spilled out. Comfort filled the empty spaces. And slowly, something changed in Logan. That empty road he'd been on for so long finally felt like it had a destination. When it grew late, he stood to leave. "I'll be back in the morning," he said. "Anything you need tonight, you knock on my door." Maria stood too. "Logan." He turned. "You didn't just give us warmth," she said gently. "You gave us hope." He swallowed hard. Then I guess it was a good Christmas after all. As he walked out into the cold night, something warm flickered inside him, something he thought he'd lost forever. A purpose. A family he didn't know he could still care about. A reason to stop driving alone on dark roads. And as the snow continued to fall softly around him, he whispered into the night. "Maybe this is where I'm meant to be." And that is the kind of story that makes viewers stop, think, and feel. The kind of story that inspires them to leave a like, maybe subscribe, because the world needs more reminders that kindness still exists, even on the coldest Christmas nights.